Hello and welcome back to Ink Drinkers Anonymous Book Club, where I read a ton so you don't have to unless you want to. But either way, let's talk about Emily Henry and Great Big Beautiful Life. I think I am in a complicated relationship with this author. I adored Book Lovers, I couldn't stand Happy Place, and this one I feel like she wrote a love letter to ambition, but forgot the ambition. I get what she was trying to do. This big, sweeping, slightly meta story about creativity, identity, and who gets to tell whose story. But it just didn't land the emotional punch that I know Emily Henry is capable of. The setup is great. Alice and Henry are two writers, and they are both assigned to write the story of an actress named Margaret. So you have the public version of Margaret Fenn, who is glamorous, tragic, and almost mythic. Think like old-time movie stars. And then you have the version people only closest to her knew. And the book tries to balance those threads. Margaret's story, Alice and Henry's creative rivalry, and their romance, and all the questions about ownership and narrative truth, except it feels like no one gets the full story of any of them. Margaret's life arc doesn't reach the emotional crescendo that you want it to. And Alice and Hayden's romance happens not due to really forced proximity, but because Alice is like, you're tall, I'm lonely, let's make it happen. Great Big Beautiful Life is trying to explore authorship in every sense of the word. Who gets to write someone's story? How much of someone's truth belongs to them once they let it out? There's this through line about control over image, over creativity, over legacy and narrative. And that part is actually really compelling. Margaret spends her whole life controlling how the world sees her. And then these two writers come in as she's in her twilight years to kind of tell the world her true story. I feel like there's a little bit of commentary how women, especially women in the spotlight, are constantly curated for public consumption. First by themselves and then by others. It could have been brilliant, but the execution is where it falters. It tries too hard to juggle the dual timelines and it drops every ball. Nobody's story gets the oxygen it needs, and it feels like it's a three-way mirror where everybody's looking a little bit distorted. Alice is written as this deeply introspective, slightly lost creative. Someone who is searching for her own narrative, kind of through Margaret's. And Hayden, he's fine. Supportive, steady, tall. Very important here, he is tall. But their chemistry never makes it from like shared experience to actual emotional resonance. Margaret should have been the gravitational pull of the entire story, but she feels distant, and that's tragic. Her premise begs for nuance. She's a woman who's both celebrated and misunderstood. And now she's just refracted into a million pieces through other people's pens. It's been compared to the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I can totally see that. The aging starlet, the biographical framing, and some of the interplay between fact and fiction. But Evelyn Hugo leaned into the decadent old Hollywood mythos. And Great Big Beautiful Life is quiet and kind of more introspective, which is fine, but I feel like it either needed more bite or more heart. Also, the character of Cosmo that Margaret loved through her life, I didn't realize until much later in the story he's supposed to be like this Elvis level A-list celebrity, and he just kind of comes off as very like Z-list try-hard. So Great Big Beautiful Life wasn't great, big, or really beautiful. I ended on 2.5 stars for this one. I feel like it's really well written, and Emily Henry can write, but the cohesion, the emotional momentum, the why should I care factor never fully realizes here. More like moderately confusing life, I guess. If you are an Emily Henry completist, I suggest you read it just to say you did. But I think for now, I'll just be sticking to Book Lovers.